Alright, we're recording. What's up, people?
G'day, people. I can't do an American accent.
G'day.
Yours is pretty good. It's got a bit of English.
G'day, people.
Yeah, it's sort of...
It's sort of English?
Yeah, sort of English. But, you know, it's better than my American.
Let me hear it.
Hello. I can't even
Come
do
on,
that.
dude, you
I
do it
can't.
once.
Oh, no, I can't. I'm smiling
It's
now.
so
I can't
funny,
do
dude.
it. We thought we'd do an impromptu talk about catamarans.
Yeah.
Because I've had a couple of people ask me about, should they buy this catamaran and this catamaran? And I've said to them, no, they shouldn't. And then they've rephrased the question in such a way to try and get me to say yes to exactly the same original question. And then I said no. So, anyway.
This was about a lagoon, wasn't it?
Possibly. A Lagoon 45.
Yeah.
Da-na-na-na. Have people watched your 50-foot?
Yeah?
Yeah, they should have watched that.
Yeah.
That was scary stuff.
There
Just
was
listening
like
to it.
three videos, plus that walkthrough video that I did.
Yeah, so what? How should you want to start? Well, we're both catamaran owners. We were.
Yeah, we both had this. If you guys don't know, we both had the same designer of boat. So we both had Crowther. Mine was a Spindrift. Yours was
H216A.
Oh, you had the one after the Spindrift.
Oh, I don't know.
A little bit more plumb, not so much hobby horsing.
Yeah.
Didn't really have the convex shape underneath, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about the Spindrift.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that was one of his later designs, his last designs.
I think it was just before he started designing for Katana.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah. So how should we?
So wait, I got another question. Stop trying to change the subject.
I'm on the subject of catamarans.
Yeah. Screw that. I want to talk to you. So, since you were right before the Katanas, did your boat have like canted?
Yeah.
Well, you did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Mine didn't have that.
No, it was good. It was a real complex shape.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was designed to sort of heal a bit.
Yeah.
And run just a bit healing.
Yeah.
It was...
And did it heal? It healed a little bit, right?
Yeah, it did, but like if you got a sweet spot, far out, 60 degrees, in swell, I remember skipping off the waves. It was great.
Have you ever caught the wave and like rode in the trough of the wave and like for a long time?
Yeah.
That's
on a Jenica with the wind up my bum. And what's more, as I was going down, it was breaking. And I was on a cushion of foam. It was,
that's awesome.
It was amazing. It was foam everywhere, and the boat, it was spongy. It felt spongy.
Yeah.
And I was going.
I don't know whether to be scared or like excited.
And I thought, I might bring the Jenica down now because we were, 15 or 16 knots with the waves, and I think waves travel at what 15 to 20, don't they?
Well, it depends on the wave. I mean, I've caught the trough of them doing 12.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're supposed to be going pretty fast.
Yeah, that was
what was the top speed?
And it was only me on board with a seasick German, so it was basically me.
With an invalid.
Yeah.
That always sucks.
Yeah. I always have seasick people.
Man, that sucks. That's like one of my first questions with crew, man. You gotta ask people.
Yeah, you do, and they go invariably, "Yeah, I'm good." Okay. And then you find out.
I hate having crew that suck.
But
it just like starts. Honestly, I have to say it just starts pissing me off more and more. Like I'm taking care of you. Oh, I feel bad for you. And then the second day, it's like I'm sweating my ass off doing something, and I'm like, "You're in my fucking most comfortable spot, of course, because I'm on this tack, and like that's the spot with the most shade and the least water coming over." And you're just sitting there puking all over my boat. And by the third day, I'm just like, "Get off my boat."
Well, I'm probably not as ruthless as you. If anyone's interested, that was episode 3 to 6 that actually has been wiped from my YouTube channel.
Why?
That was Lisa, the German. She asked me to wipe her off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was
good.
quite smart. Anyway.
Well.
Anyway, so we're ranting a bit. So catamarans, do you want to start?
Sure. Since we already started with Lagoon,
let's
just say like that Lagoon is not a catamaran that we would recommend that you get.
No, that's right. And in fact, one of my people specifically asked about Lagoon 45.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you guys all know from Parlay and from my video and from probably 100 other videos that they're just built like shit. But it's not just that. I mean, even without that, I mean, that's kind of like things that are repairable. There are a lot of boats that are built, you know, light, like Beneteau Hunter, Leopard. I think Leopards are built pretty light. They have steel beams in them. Did you know that? They have steel main beams. The rear and front main beams are steel, which is cool. But the problem is, I have a buddy with a Leopard 40, and the floor is made from like a floor pan, right, on the underneath curvature, and then a top pan, and they you know, epoxy them together, and that's completely separating on his boat. And I just think,
Wow.
for a $400,000 or $500,000 boat, that's crazy. Anyway, there's a lot of boats that are built tough. There's a lot of boats that are built light. I think that the lagoons, because I heard that they were designed by an interior designer, and then the interior designer was like, "What are you doing with the engine?"
No, the whole boat was built around the curtains, people. We want this type of curtain right now. The whole boat and the structure has to support those curtains.
You know what I tell people about lagoons? And what it really comes down to is the rudder is in front of the propeller. Now, there's no other sailboat that is like that, because you need to get proc walk over the rudder and to be able to maneuver. And if you lose an engine on a lagoon, you don't go anywhere because you can't maneuver in tight spaces. And the reason they did that was because they had the engines underneath the bunks, but the interior designer was like, no, that's a stupid place for it, put it back more. So they put it in the transoms and made the thing as big as they could, and they sail like a brick. I've been on a few. I've actually sailed on a few.
Well, you've got more knowledge than me because you've had personal...
I just think that people don't realize that they're just going to motor everywhere, and then it's not fun to sail upwind on those. You're not going to go anywhere cool.
Can you go crosswind at least?
Yeah, they sail okay if they're on a beam.
Okay.
But how often are you on like a perfect beam reef?
You need to go to windward, well, for safety anyway. You need to be able to go any direction.
I would say that half your time sailing is to windward. If you're going to be sailing, half the time you're going to be sailing at least at somewhat upwind, from 90 degrees to 45 degrees, or 60 degrees.
I know there's a lot of gentlemanly sailors out there going, what?
Really?
Gentlemen don't sail to wind.
You just...
Hey, I think...
half the time you're not going that way.
I think it's, even if it's not half, you need to still go to windward because sometimes you need to get to safety, or you need to...
What's burning? Something's burning. Oh.
Is it?
I think something's smoking.
Yeah. I like how the newer, maybe not lagoons, do lagoons have those little high pop-up tops, those little... Are they the lagoons?
The flybridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, the lagoons have those. If they're 45, I think it starts with the 45.
Yeah. They're good for catching tuna, people, but not for sailing. I mean, you can get up there and you can see all the tuna, but that's about it.
You can't see very far.
It's
while
amazing.
You're motoring.
That's right. And the boom. Now, you've got to understand that your centre of effort... because you got a mainsail, and your mainsail drives your boat, right?
Yeah. That's a big difference between a monohull and a cat. The mainsail drives the cat, the jib drives the monohull.
So, the what was I talking about? The centre of effort is too high, and you've got this boom that has to go above that flybridge, and it's. I mean, and they got a pathetic little sail anyway for such a big, heavy boat.
And they're invariably putting it up higher and higher. And dude, on that 500, I mean, even on the 44 and the 45 I was on, it's really difficult to access that. I mean, if you have a jam, we had a jam from that run I did on the Mason 65 from Hawaii to California. We had a jam on one of the cars, and it was a bitch. I had to get up there and really get it down. If that was a lagoon, I would have been risking my life out to sea doing that. I'd have been halfway up the mast because it was the second car. The second car jammed above the boom. For me, I'd almost reach it on the Mason,
Wow.
but it would have been like 35 feet up in the air on the lagoon.
Wow.
There are a couple of designers that I really like. Let's switch gears and go to like what something we don't like and something we do like. That way, it's not just all negative and then like the end's positive. My favorite designer right now is, oh man, I was thinking Lars Ulrich. That's the drummer from Metallica. No, that's the guitarist. Maybe it is the drummer. Anyway, what is his name? Shit.
Whilst you're thinking about it, I'll say Mumby 48.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be your dream boat.
Light,
those are
strong,
pretty sexy. Aluminum.
Very. It's rigid. It's light. It's got kick-up runners, people. It's like I think 50 centimeters or 55 centimeters draft kicking up your rudders, and it's got dagger boards. It's got It's nice and beamy. It's a fast cruiser. And that's what you want, because you want the safety. I mean, yes, it's not going to have as much volume as well, certainly even a 45 Lagoon, because even though it's bigger, the trouble is, at least you're going to live for 5 seasons. Well, I don't think you're going to be unsafe in that sort of boat.
I'd be hard pressed to see one of those ripping in half. Maybe cracking where the points are in the corners of like the most
have you seen them? That's what they do. They've got some good radiuses.
Well, really?
Not so much a radius, but a really good. There's no sharp angles.
Okay, it's not just like a square right there.
I can actually maybe inset
cool.
some pictures, because I think I've got some Mumby 48.
We should try to pull up some on my phone.
They're really chunky. Look, I won't try and describe it. I'll just throw it up on the screen.
Cool.
But I don't... Look, aluminium's really shit in fatigue, isn't it? So as soon as you start lots of movement repetitively, you're going to fail. But there are 20-year-old Mumby aluminium Catamarans, the first one, still out there, and there's no problem with them.
Okay.
So it says something about it. So if they're rigid...
I mean, when you get to 48 foot, then it starts to like balance out with the aluminum being a lot heavier than fiberglass or composite. Way heavier than composite. I mean, like you take a 48-foot foam composite
Well, I wouldn't
boat.
say it's way heavy. It's still a light boat, but it's not going to be as light as a composite or a carbon fibre, yeah, for sure.
I'd say it's probably going to be double. I don't know for sure,
I
but
think
if you
his
take a piece
48 is 7 tonne.
What? That's so light.
Yes, it's ridiculously
How?
light. Actually, hold it. Maybe I should put some actual facts. I recall...
This conversation is not based on fact.
So this was... I was over at Walter. Walter has a Mumby 48. He built it himself, people. He's never welded aluminium in his life, and he had an 8-minute lesson, and he said go in a factory in Philippines. I recall 7.5 coming up, but I did meet a composite boat in east coast of Australia. It was 45 foot, and it was 4.5 tonne.
That'd be a cool boat.
And it had kick-up rudders, but he built it himself, and he was a boat builder, and it was a sleek thing. It looked, but yeah, not so much comfort and volume, but it was light.
One of the boats I was looking at trying to finance was called Catenza, and it was a boat built in New Zealand, and it was badass, man. It was 4.5 tons, 46 foot, just had everything I wanted. It was so cool.
Was it a Greek designer?
It was a...
What's that Greek designer in New Zealand? He was building some nice...
He built some crazy boats. He built the Green Flash. They got the boat that won the Transpac like 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember the name of the designer I really like. Eric LaRouge. Eric LaRouge built the Kinsa. That's his like professional. I'm getting paid to design for you boats. They're super high end. Those Kinsa, Kynsa, Kinsa. If you see them, they're super nice, and most of them have a curved bow beam, and that's his thing. They all have a curved bow beam, and no rails and no wires and nothing else holding the stay, the front stay, the forestay.
So it's inherently stable.
It's inherently stable because of the geometry, yeah. And all of his custom boats, where he designs them for people. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's not aluminium though. It's
usually it's carbon.
Yeah, carbon.
Yeah,
okay.
But I mean, it's one structure, so what does it cost? It's 20 grand or something to make that one piece, and then you have something that is so clean, and it's just, you know,
I think I've seen one of
looks
those.
futuristic. It's cool as shit. I don't like having wires and stuff on the front. And yes, it can break, but you know, bow beams break too. So.
All right, so you've got your design. I got mine. I think yours probably more expensive though, isn't it?
Well, you can either buy plans and build it yourself, or you can have one built with his plans, or you can have him commission him to build, you know, a custom one or design a custom one for you.
Excellent.
But he makes like 46 to 50 or 60 foot, I think. And I think I'd like, you know, something in the 80 foot range. I think I'd like something in the 45 to 50 foot range. He makes a pretty badass 50 footer.
I think that'd be too big for me. I used to be scared even on my long reef people at 42 foot with the big main up, looking out for squalls. Because it had a massive roach on it. It's a big sail.
Yeah, I would like something that I could have 4 reefs in. That's what I told myself after my boat broke.
Oh
If I had another cat, I would have a 4th reef.
Yeah. I think that's definitely.
And I'll tell you guys why. And I'm sure you already know, but the center of effort for when you're sailing is so far forward. When you have just a piece of jib out, and the mains on these boats, they're the power, so you have this huge roach, and if you have a 3rd reef, it's still
it's
a
huge
shitload of
it's
sail.
Huge. It'll be probably 30%.
Yeah, 30% of your sail, and it's like a big square of fabric, and that's where you want the driving force if you have hard wind, because it's in the center of the boat, it's pushing the boat, it's the autopilot's not going to have to work too hard with his little rudders that catamarans have. What happened with mine is I didn't have a 4th reef, so I had to put the main completely down, and I had to use the jib as my drive, and that was constantly trying to push the boat to leeward, and the rudders were fighting it, and it was like draining my batteries every night. It was not a good situation. And had I had a 4th reef, I could have just dropped the jib and put that 4th reef up in the main. That would have been enough sail, but something to think about if you actually want to like cruise around on a catamaran. I would definitely recommend that you have a way of either a trysail. You know what those are? The storm main.
What, on its own track?
You can put it on its own track, or you can have it on whatever track you want. But
what's probably easier if you don't have the 4th reef, you have a little track that goes up a certain way, and it's just in a bag. And if you're going on passage,
did
you ever might use it? I never had one, but
did you have aftermarket track? Like one of those Tides Marine tracks, or did you have just a regular car like batten cars?
No, I had what those tall on balls and running through the they were.
Oh, that was like a Harken.
Yeah, Harken ones.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
You liked it a lot.
The only issue I had is one of the ends, the aluminium ends, snapped, and I lost all the balls and jammed. But I just replaced it. But I never had. It was 12 years old, and they were all good except for one.
You had balls all over your deck.
I had balls all over my deck.
Choose your crew better.
What else can we talk about? Oh yeah, and this obsession with putting these massive windows on the side of catamarans.
You're not talking about the windows in the salon. You're talking about the windows actually on the hull.
On the side, yeah, on the hull.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly fond of this, people. You get even a small wave, if it slaps, like one cubic metre of water moving at 15 knots, and if it just gets at the right angle and hits that window,
perfect.
And it's only a small wave.
Yeah.
To hit.
Yeah.
And if you're in bigger waves, well,
you're in big seas.
I think it's just a bad thing. So. In the boats that you're looking out for tuna, and then you get scared because the tuna will run away because the storm's coming, and then you go inside because you're scared, and then you look at the wave then come and smash in your window. I don't think it's. I think I'd be a bit disconcerted to be in that sort of boat.
You're not talking about the windows that wrap around all the way around.
No. I'm talking about on the hulls. On the hulls.
Yeah.
And they can be some big windows.
I think that way on monohull boats a lot too. But
yeah, any.
There's a lot of windows that now going in. Oyster does it cool. They do like a split window now. They have like 3 window slits, and it just looks dope. It looks like a shark, and it
like the gills.
And it looks pretty. It looks pretty strong too, because it's just a very thin.
But I think you got a nice hull. Why cut the hull and put in a weakness?
Well, because you need light.
No. What do you call these things?
Well, I don't know.
And that's plenty of light. So anyway, that's just me. I wouldn't do it. We've all heard of the Australian couple lost off East Africa, I think last year, disappeared.
You just told me about that.
And there was a boat in Australia in 25 knots. I don't know if it was a lagoon, but it's one of these floating hotel types people. And it's 25 knots, and I think the grandfather died, and grandmother died, and one of the kids died, and some got rescued. But it was 25 knots, and it was 3.5 metre swell, and it went turtle. So there's a problem with there's a whole host of problems with it. I think they're not wide enough, they're not sleek enough, they can't generate enough speed where they can actually power through. They're sort of sluggish. And what's the other thing we were talking about? Some of these new floating hotels, they have the inset seats at the front.
Oh yeah, the front cockpit.
Yeah, the front cockpit. Can you imagine?
It has like 1.5 inch scuppers, but that's 2.5 ton of water.
Yeah. So you get this one wave come over, and people, but after a few minutes, it will drain. No, what happens is you go dead in the water, and then you got no speed. You're going to go beam on, and then you're in a whole lot of trouble, people. You get more waves feeding this. I mean, it's good. It's a swimming pool. You could swim.
There is a hot tub in the front.
You could swim there. Yeah, I don't.
Most people don't believe that it could fill up because the boat's so high off the water. The guy that I went to, you're gonna laugh. The guy that I went to Aruba with, he was under the under the impression that
He might have been.
He was under the impression that because the flybridge was so high, he didn't need a Dodger or a spray hood up there because he's too high. There's no way the spray would get in.
Interesting.
Yeah, he changed his mind on the way back to beating up wind for 16 hours.
I've got a question for you because you've actually sailed them because you've got bigger balls than me. If the shit hits the fan and you're up there, how do you dump the main? Is that easily accessible
You know what? I will say that they did think about that. And you can be in the lower cockpit and there is a main dump. They ran the end of the endless loop for the main into the cockpit, and that's the end. So you can just pop the clutch and it'll dump the main.
Okay, so you can
do the same thing up on the top.
Oh, okay.
The other end is on the top. So it's an endless loop.
Yeah, okay.
That goes to all the cars in an 8-to-1 purchase, and one side is on a winch on the top, and one side is just on a clutch.
Okay.
So you need to remember to have enough there to pop it in it first.
Okay.
But that's how it works.
Well, damn, I can't criticize that then.
I mean, it was a good idea to do that. Yeah. That's a good question, but that's, I think, as far as sailing goes, it's a very simple rig. It's only the main jib. You can put on a code 0, but I mean, putting a code 0 on a piece of shit is the same thing as like throwing money.
How fast did you go on those boats?
That's the funny part. So we would be doing on the lagoon downwind. We were doing like 7.5, 8 knots, but under motor, because he has two 75 horse motors, we were doing 9.5, 10 knots. So we actually were doing 7 knots under sail, and the guy wanted the sails down because he wanted to get there faster, so we could go faster, and at a bit different angle too. So it cut off 2 hours or something. But he decided not to sail just because it was faster under motor.
So maybe they should get rid of that pointy thing. They
should just get rid of the stick, yeah, because everybody on lagoons has told me that there's like a cap to how fast they can go, and actually most of those production boats have like almost like a theoretical hull speed for a monohull boat. Like there's a cap, and that's how fast they can go. Usually on the 38, the 44, the 45, and the 500 that I've been on, it was all the same. The motoring top speed full out was the sailing top speed full out. They couldn't go faster. Maybe every once in a while they'd surf and get like 12 or 13 knots, but it basically for the 38 it was like 8 knots. For the 44s it was like 10, and for the 50 it was like 9.5.
Alright, okay. Anyway, what else have we got to talk about?
It's been a lot about lagoons. We've just kind of been trashing lagoon. We really need to get this out.
Well, I was, you know...
The good thing this is just for patrons.
That's right.
I don't think YouTube would really appreciate it.
And we all heard of Parlay Revival. Well, there's a catamaran next to him, owned by a guy called David. Yeah, and he's got the same problems.
Yeah.
He's ripping the whole thing apart.
He's doing a lot of work.
So it's not isolated. Yeah, you should just do your research.
That would be a shit thing to have happen. Like, you spend $500,000 or near that on a boat, and then you have to spend a year on the hard replacing the bulkheads.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
He ripped them out, oh look.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do it. I mean, I guess you have to if you were that all in.
But well, you know, you don't have to. You just don't buy the damn things in the first place, and you buy a proper boat.
Well, let me give you guys some advice. If you're thinking about getting a production lagoon, don't. Any production boat you need to do your research on, but the lagoons sail like shit. They're the worst sailing boats. They don't. You just plan on not sailing. And what it is you can trade that interior volume for the sailing ability, you know, and trade down into like Outremer, which now they're doing it a little bit more like the lagoon kind of style. But when Outremer first came out, they were like little domes, you know, and they were super small. And most of the fastest sailing boats are really small. The Cats, they're aerodynamic and small. And so you've got to balance that out because you're never going to get both. But it's dangerous to go all the way to one extreme or all the way to the other extreme. Like,
well, you're just uncomfortable on the other extreme.
I'm not going to say.
It's not dangerous.
But, well, no, I mean like super fast race boat is fucking dangerous to cruise.
Well, you just don't have as much sail up. You don't have to go.
That's not what people do, man.
Yeah, but you don't have to go 26 knots.
What happens is they put the sails up, and then they don't know about the Gabatic winds that go around islands, and then they get hit and they flip over. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So, Dream Cat, Mumby
48.
Mumby 48.
Because it's cheap. You can build them yourself, and they're a good boat. They're not the most perfect boat, but they're a good solid boat. And if you fit them out yourself, you can make it. You can probably build one yourself for under $100,000, people, all aluminium. But you have to do it yourself.
Did you sail on Walter?
No, I just what I did is I walked on his boat and I flopped everywhere, and I drooled on it, and then I was not making love to it, but I was caressing it for a couple of hours.
Should we like?
It was amazing.
Beep all this section out.
It was just, it's just so
funny.
It's so beautiful. You should see the boat. It's just beautiful.
You should
really
go sailing on the boat. Is what you should do. Before you plan on spending like 4 years building a fucking boat.
Well, he sailed on Monohulls for 15 years, and he loves his cat.
Yeah, of course. If you're on a monohull and switch to a cat, but if you're on a Crowther and switch to a monohull and switch back to an aluminum boat that doesn't sail in under 20 knots, I doubt it's gonna. I'm just saying you should take the boat sailing first before you.
What you're saying is absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He's coming back in a month.
Oh, he lives here.
No. He had to do his visa thing with his girlfriend, and he'll be back. So I will hit him up.
I want to get on it.
Okay. Well, if you're still here, definitely.
Let's do a power vlog.
Yeah.
Double boat tour.
Yeah.
My boat tour is going to be way better than yours.
Oh, most definitely. He's seen my vlog before, people.
I like it.
Mine's a different type of quality.
People, you've got rocks in your head. In your head.
Yeah, if you've donated to my channel, you got rocks in your head. But you know, you're lovely people. All right, good on you.
Cool. Anything else about cats? What do you think about your monohull? Ooh, that's the big question.
Well,
honestly,
it's hard to love after my long reef, but I must admit.
No, we can keep going. We still have some battery. Let's see what other good tidbits we can have. It wouldn't be too hard to edit this later. You were talking about your what you honestly think about your monohull boat. Honestly.
for sailing and safety and doing passages, not that I've done any great passages, but I like how it's safe. I like how, I mean, if you buy a catamaran, you really got to be paying attention all the time. You know, if a squall's coming, you have to reef. If you're starting to think about reefing, you should have already reefed. You see something coming, you got to be prepared for it. But you know, monohull, you can, you know, the boat heels and then it points to windward. You know, it's got a pressure release.
It rounds up.
It rounds up, and then you go, oh, well, I got to do something.
I should probably take the sails down.
Yeah, and you can even really run out if you look at. Say you've already run through a squall and you know it's only going to be 20 minutes. Well, you can probably get away with keeping your sails up, and you dump the main and you manage it, and you can get through it, and then you don't have to change any sails. Whereas in the catamaran, I was always looking, always paying attention, because especially when I was on the boat with 4 girls that had no knowledge whatsoever. I had to.
That's a good point.
Reef early. So if you're thinking of just buying any boat and want to get out here, I mean, for example, James has got this beautiful boat. My boat's not so good, but I'm still in the same water. I'm still jumping on the same island, still enjoying myself, and I spend most of the time off the boat anyway. Yeah. Same thing with catamarans. Don't think you need to spend another 3 more years to save up the money to buy a very expensive catamaran. You don't need to. You just need to get out here. Yeah. And just need the minimum for your gear, and get the gear that will make you happy. And Monohull's just as good. Most anchorages are quite calm, and then you get a friend that has a Lagoon 45. Actually, get a number of them around the Caribbean, and you go visit them, and then you go jump on.
You bring them fish?
Yes.
Because none of them can spearfish.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they'll be your friend and let you stay on their boat in the AC. OPA, it's called. Other people's AC.
And then
other people's air conditioning.
But quite often it's a symbiotic relationship. The monohull can carry the heavy tools. Yeah. And the catamaran has the living space.
It would be cool to do that.
So catamarans borrow the heavy tools, and then you go eat in the catamaran. It's a very healthy relationship.
It's nice to have the party boat, though. I remember having the cat was the cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like having a party boat. Like you could invite the whole anchorage over. That was the cool part about a cat. Yeah. You could invite the whole anchorage over, and if nobody could sit on this table or in the salon, they would just sit on the trampoline.
So much space.
Yeah.
It's trampolines. Oh.
No, it's like a whole other world.
Yeah, the memories I have of the trampolines.
Yeah. Cuddle puddles on the trampoline.
It's the cuddle puddle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice conditions.
Right now it'd just be you and me, but that's okay. Yeah. It's still a cuddle puddle.
You lie face down as you're flying on with the wind behind you, and there's dolphins, and you're right there. It's awesome.
Oh, you're making me miss
awesome. It. Awesome. Maybe one day I might build a catamaran.
You hear that?
Maybe.
I think he's gonna do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, maybe me too. Maybe we both should build Mumby 48s and then race.
Well, we can make a competition.
We can like totally nerd out on it. Like, my Mumby 42 is 37 centimeter aluminum A38 space module.
Oh wow!
You remember that guy? The space module.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, I can do a bunch of voices actually.
Wow.
Schmeagol.
Schmeagol.
Yeah.
Really?
Wait, Elmo?
Elmo loves you.
Alright.
Yeah,
that's a talent.
It is, yeah.
Have you done that on your vlog?
No.
You should work that in.
I don't do that.
You see, if I had a talent, people, I'd be working it.
What is that as a talent?
Hi,
it's
today?
It's something different.
I could dress up as Elmo and do like some weird shit.
It's not spearfishing or me gabbing to the camera. Yeah. So it's an extra skill.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be good.
Maybe we can figure out a way to.
I think that was good. What else?
You know what? Okay. Look, this is already 32 minutes. So let's just call this good. Let's call this. This is our catamaran talk. We're gonna have another one of these, but it's gonna be a little more professional, and all of the points from this will expand on like for a video for YouTube. But this is like, you know, you guys get to see the uncut version of our personalities, which is, I think, more fun and more personable and actually more important. But I want to cut this and have another one right now where we talk about cruising and talk about the things that you need to cruise. Like, what would be your top 10 list to have? That's a totally different thing. That's going to take another 30 minutes, and we'll put that out later.
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See you,
Appreciate
people.
that.